You know what they say about great power? Great power comes with being great and having a great time. That's why it's called great power. So wise. No one knows this better than video games, in which you steadily earn and master more and better powers, so you can have fun deploying them to achieve your various goals. But then occasionally, for a special treat, a game will say, here, have a bunch of power all at once, so you can let loose and enjoy a big old power high. This video is dedicated to those badass moments of ultimate power that made us feel like mighty gods. Please beware spoilers for the following games. Yeah, it's great power comes with great times.
No, I think
Good times.
It's with great power comes great responsibility.
No, that doesn't sound
pretty
right
sure
at all.
No, it's Uncle Ben.
What's great about responsibility?
Well,
very little.
No, I mean,
I think you'll find.
Larger events. They use it in the pejorative sense.
Get out.
Okay.
Get out.
All right.
There was a time when I thought myself the deadliest scourge of these seas. But this man is a fearsome dog that feeds off trouble and turmoil.
One thing they won't teach you in so-called history class is how the assassins from the Assassin's Creed series were present at and often responsible for most of history's biggest moments, like a bunch of Forrest Gumps, only with cooler hair and facial scars. They basically won independence for America, came up with the name telephone, kicked off the French Revolution, left one of Dickens' novels permanently unfinished, oh, and Ezio invented the latte.
I don't know. Have you considered adding sugar, maybe? Or latte?
No word yet on which assassin invented pumpkin spice flavouring, but it's got to be one of them, right? Maybe Arno? I mean, there's no way of knowing. What am I going to do, play Assassin's Creed Unity? Please. To that list of things assassins are responsible for, you can add famous pirate Blackbeard's fearsome reputation, because it turns out a lot of that is down to the assistance of Edward Kenway, the protagonist of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. In the mission Devil's Advocate, you find out that Blackbeard took his ship, named the Queen Anne's Revenge, up against a British man of war, got his butt kicked, fled to a nearby island, and now it's up to you, Edward Kenway, to go and rescue the person who history will remember as the most fearsome pirate of all time.
I'll bring him home.
Leave him, man. He's heaped this trouble on himself.
Recognizing your superior piracy skills, Blackbeard puts you in charge for a second go at the man of war, which means, for a brief, glorious moment, you are in charge of the Queen Anne's Revenge. And if you played Assassin's Creed 4 anything like the way we did, you're in for a treat. See, in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, upgrading your ship, the Jackdaw, is boring and expensive and time-consuming, and as a result, we did it as little as possible, which meant tootling around the sea in what was little more than a rowboat with a shotgun duct taped to the side. Step behind the wheel of the Queen Anne's Revenge though, and it's a whole different story. This is a level 40 frigate, absolutely massive, covered in armour, and, to be honest, I'm not even sure where the crew goes because there can't be any space below the decks that isn't occupied by a huge deadly cannon. It's just for the one mission, but the feeling of being behind the wheel of this impossibly badass boat is so cool, it's almost enough to get us to spend the time grinding to upgrade our actual boat. Or to get us excited for Ubisoft's upcoming naval combat simulator Skull and Bones. Nah, let's not overdo it.
Artie?
Did you miss me?
In the spooky world of Control, no everyday object is just an everyday object. Inside the Bureau of Control's head office, everyday objects are home to mystic forces or dimensional gateways. That might mean a new telekinetic power hidden inside a carousel horse, or a nightmare monster hidden inside a fridge, or an elder god hidden inside a drinks trolley. Oh wait, this is just a drinks trolley. Jesse, we could have used that for drinks. For mind-boggling otherworldly objects though, it's hard to beat an ashtray that contains not cigarette butts, but instead an enormous reality-bending labyrinth full of impossible geometry and vintage styling.
Rome. Contact the janitor if you need to get through.
Broken. How many dead ends can this place have?
This place is known as the Ashtray Maze, for reasons as obvious as the maze is tricksy. If you wander into the Ashtray Maze unprepared, maybe just to admire the good panelling, Jessie will get all turned around by the shifting walls and twisting corridors until finally she gets spat back out at the start, no wiser as to what's hidden at the heart of the maze.
Constantly changing labyrinth. Can never pass through. Dimensional research.
When the time is right though, the Bureau's mystery super janitor, Artie, will give you the secret key to this twisted puzzle. It's a Walkman.
Take my cassette player. You can borrow it. The song is a present from my friends to you. It will get you through the maze so you can do your job.
Obviously, it's not just any Walkman that plays music, it's actually a Walkman that confers the power to pass through the Ashtray Maze. Also, it does play music. And how? Because once Jessie cranks that magical cassette player, get ready for Control to turn into a delirious power fantasy / rockin' music video. Levitating badass Jessie now swoops through the maze, wrecking bad guys with her force powers, all pumped up by the soundtrack supplied by in-universe rock band Old Gods of Asgard, who you might remember from their appearance in Alan Wake, Remedy fans.
God damn.
Thanks to these epic metal riffs, the Ashtray Maze is suddenly Jessie's new best friend, trapping her enemies and opening the path for her to zoom on through like a hovering Moses parting the Red Sea. It's a wild ride through the world's most extreme funhouse, and all too soon, it's over. Yeah, you said it, Jessie. Meanwhile, all my magic Walkman can do is magically transform cassette tapes into garbage. See? Can someone get me a pencil?
This is a gravity gun my father was talking about. You can call it the zero-point energy field manipulator if you really want to.
The defining weapon of Half-Life 2 was what scientists would call the zero-point energy field manipulator, and what everyone else called the gravity gun. This nifty piece of science kit allowed you to pick up and move relatively light objects and manipulate bits of scenery in order to solve puzzles.
Try stacking some things. Grab something with your secondary trigger, then press the same trigger again to drop it gently.
And more importantly, you could also use it to launch circular saw blades at headcrab zombies. It's a multifunction device. Guaranteed, your happiest memories from Half-Life 2 will involve the gravity gun. It was the thing that set this physics-enabled shooter apart from everything else out at the time. The only problem is that the gravity gun is severely limited in what it can actually pick up. It can't pick up Combine soldiers, for example.
Medical attention.
That all changes when you finally enter the Combine Citadel towards the end of the game, and the weapon confiscation field accidentally supercharges your gravity gun. Which is a bit like airport security trying to confiscate your liquids and then accidentally filling your suitcase with 300 gallons of conditioner. At that point, you have a gravity gun powered by dark energy, which is capable of pulling your enemies towards you and then launching them for bloody miles. What follows is you marching through the towering citadel, absolutely cleaning house. And by house, I mean giant metal skyscraper. And by cleaning, I mean actually making quite a lot more mess.
That's a lot of weed.
The Far Cry games are all about survival. Surviving tiger attacks, surviving honey badger attacks, surviving bear attacks. Actually, maybe the Far Cry games are more about being attacked by animals, now that I think about it. But they are also about survival, often against dizzying odds. Like in Far Cry 3, where you, the lone protagonist, guerrilla warfare your way across a tropical island using stealth, the environment, and low-tech weaponry to slowly but surely dismantle an army of pirates. And not the fun kind of pirates, like the ones with peg legs and hooks for hands. These are the kind that shoot you with AK-47s. Some of them do wear bandanas, to be fair. The point is, for most of the game, you feel pretty vulnerable. There's only one of you and hundreds of them, and there's no telling when you're going to be overwhelmed, or hit by a sniper, or blindsided by an animal, yes. All that changes, however, in the mission Kick the Hornet's Nest, in which you, playing a stranded frat boy Jason Brody, get given a flamethrower by a CIA agent and asked to burn down a weed field in order to draw Hoyt, the game's big bad, out of hiding.
Flammenwerfer.
Now the shoe is on the other foot because you've got a massive, terrifying flamethrower that shoots giant jets of burning fuel, and the game, recognizing just how badass you have suddenly become, lays down a dubstep reggae soundtrack to complement it, courtesy of Skrillex and Damian Marley. Whatever you think about dubstep, I think we can all agree that this is the musical equivalent of a burning field of weed and dead pirates. Oh yes, there are pirates guarding the weed, naturally, but I think I mentioned the flamethrower, so they're not really an issue.
Fall back! Fall back!
In fact, up until right now, I'd forgotten this bit had enemies in it because they're only around for about 4 seconds before they evaporate in a cloud of pirate smoke. Really, after this mission, the whole game should have been much easier as the huge cloud of weed smoke spread to the rest of the island and all the pirates either dozed off, got fascinated by their own hands, or wandered off looking for snacks. Still, at least I've got a flamethrower now. There are some animals I need to go and have a word with.
You ready to things up in virtual reality?
Safer than being shot at.
You can survive a gunshot, but if your mind takes too much shock in this chair, you'll go brain dead.
If there's one thing better than being totally overpowered and smashing up an enemy, it's being totally overpowered and smashing up a really annoying enemy.
That punk kid is Matt?
That punk kid is the cyber god who just crashed your helicopter.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy this. That's the treat that's in store for you in the mission in Saints Row the Third called http://deckers.die, catchy, which sees you pursuing irritating hacker Matt Miller by uploading your consciousness into a computer and fighting a load of vector graphic baddies.
That was a nice workout.
It's like Tron, only people under the age of 30 might actually remember it. As if it wasn't enough of a pain being stuck in a computer system controlled entirely by one of your sworn enemies, when you arrive you discover that you've been transformed into a toilet.
Kinsey, all I see is that I'm a bloody commode.
Actually, in British English, commode refers to a piece of furniture that conceals a chamber pot rather than a regular toilet, and I think I've just figured out why I'm not so popular at parties. Although you jumped in voluntarily, Matt is in control of the simulation, meaning he can throw waves of enemies at you, slow you down to a snail's pace to make combat more difficult, and even force you to play an old-fashioned text adventure.
Then why even mention the bloody hole? Oh, you stupid door.
That is what games looked like before they invented pictures. After this torturous sequence, you finally face off against Matt, who has created a 50-foot-tall Dragon Knight avatar with which to smite you, and at first, it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do.
Having trouble with your connection. Careful, the wax spike will bounce you around.
But then your fellow Saint Kinsey fiddles with the simulation and creates a Dragon Knight avatar for you, only this one is purple, which means it's better and on brand.
This is absolutely mental!
As you might have deduced from having your ass handed to you by a Dragon Knight for the last few minutes, Dragon Knights are freaking awesome.
Good to be back in action.
At last, you're living your cyber Sauron fantasy with the power to breathe fire, blast shockwaves, and have a big cool World of Warcraft looking sword. The game obligingly supplies a gaggle of tiny grunts on which you can test these newfound powers, and then, naturally, it's time to take the fight back to this My Chemical Romance cosplayer. And while he is in an identical Dragon Knight avatar, he also sucks. So there's only one way this is going to end. You going ham on him with your big cool sword. That'll teach you to turn me into a toilet, which I'll remind you is a fixed receptacle, typically consisting of a large bowl and a system for flushing away waste. Someone must enjoy my toilet trivia. Anyone got a party coming up?
I'm sorry, sir, but I'm afraid the office is closed for the evening.
I'm here to see Tom Reed.
Mr. Reed is currently unavailable, but if you'd like to make an appointment, Mr.
Fisher. I used to work here.
Security alert. Main power is offline.
Looking back at Splinter Cell Conviction, the thing we remember most of all is how it introduced the new ability, Mark and Execute.
Whoa, man! Oh.
Tell a lie, the thing we actually remember most of all was how every single henchman in that game was just furious at you.
You better hide, you son of a bitch! You're just a punk, you know that? You think you're some kind of badass, Fisher?
Guys, chill out. It's just a job. Mark and Execute, on the other hand, was the system that let players tag a baddie with a cheeky red chevron and then later automatically shoot them without needing to aim. Like having a car that does the parallel parking for you, this was extremely gratifying and a little bit cheating. Which is why grizzled Special Operative Sam Fisher was strictly limited in his ability to mark and execute, so he didn't turn into an unstoppable aimbot, and the game didn't turn into Splinter Cell, the point-and-click headshot adventure. Before he could dish them out, Sam had to earn his red chevrons of death by putting in the real work with gritty close-quarters combat.
Perfect.
Nice one, Sam! However, at the end of Mission 8 in that game, Sam sneaks into the HQ of his former agency, 3rd Echelon.
So tell me about Sarah.
There, he acquires intel that, in a shock twist, reveals that Sam's best friend, who is dead, faked the death of Sam's daughter, who is not dead.
Sam! Sam, listen to me!
In further exciting news, the bad guys are about to set off a load of EMPs and assassinate the president because Splinter Cell.
I'm going to the White House with Tom Reed, and I'm going to try to save the president. Maybe I'll see you there.
Thanks to the high-fidelity audio and pin-sharp video quality of Cisco telepresence, Sam is finally wise to how he's been betrayed and manipulated, and boy is he mad.
I got a positive ID on Fisher!
So mad, in fact, he forgets that Mark and Execute is a special treat for occasional use, and suddenly you've got unlimited Mark and Executes to spend. Now it's time to splinter everyone's cells while storming out of the building, which is about to self-destruct.
Fisher! You messed with the wrong guy, shithead!
While the building explodes around him, Sam exfiltrates the 3rd Echelon office like John Wick in cargo pants, and you feel like an unstoppable aimbot, but in a very empowering and badass way. Yet the henchmen are still so furious at Sam Fisher that they choose to stand their ground and shoot at him rather than escape an exploding building.
The area is a no.
Warning. Protocol 2319 is now in effect.
Guys, like I said, it's just a job.
Grand Theft Auto Online is a huge open sandbox where players can do pretty much whatever they like. Turns out, they like killing each other. Sure, sometimes that's the point in the competitive modes, but play GTA Online for any length of time and you'll most likely find yourself gunned down by another player when all you wanted to do was go to Los Santos Customs and play with the musical horns. Oh, my character would have loved that. He's dead now. Many would argue that that's GTA Online's whole deal and that if you can't stand the heat, you should get out of the kitchen, which is ironic because I actually can't leave my kitchen right now because there's a huge gunfight happening in the street downstairs. While it's tempting to try and take these GTA Online griefers on at their own game, they're usually at a level that it's impossible to match if you have any other hobbies or interests or demands on your time at all. This means they've got superior skills and equipment, and worst of all, they've exhausted everything there is to do in the game that isn't go around griefing people with their superior skills and equipment. But what am I going to do? Stop playing GTA Online? Get real? Turn on passive mode? Well, I guess I could, but it's in a sub-menu. And if I haven't figured out the menus by now, Rockstar, it ain't happening. Hold up though, because there is one surefire way of taking care of your online nemesis in Grand Theft Auto Online, and it just so happens to be the coolest, most badass, and most completely baller way of killing anyone in any online game ever. Added as part of the Doomsday Heist update, the orbital cannon is not cheap. It costs $900,000 to install in your underground bunker, which is already costing you at least $1.25 million. It then costs $750,000 every time you want to fire it using the automated targeting system, meaning we're nearly $3 million in the hole before we've even fired the thing. It's worth it though, because for that money you get the incredible spectacle of a gigantic laser being fired from space and obliterating XXX Billy Big Balls 420 weed reference XXX, who has been giving you grief for your entire session.
I obliterated Willy the Kid with the orbital cannon. That cost me $750,000.
Or if you fancy turning to the dark side yourselves, what better way to assert dominance over your friends? Whoa! I'm starting to see the appeal.
Well, friends, we've all had fun here today learning about the impossibly badass moments that made us feel like mighty, mighty gods. But have you heard the good news about Show of the Week? And also its companion show, Show of the Weekend? The first of which stars me and Mike and Andy off of OutsideXbox. Andy's here, he knows.
That's good.
And then the second, Show of the Weekend, stars Ellen and Luke, our good friends over at Outside Extra. Don't moan, it's a good show. You'll see if you check them out. You can see them both here.
It is a good show.
They're both excellent shows. Go and binge them right now.